Hi guys, it's Michelle, stuck in the middle with Q. I am bringing you the latest Q posts for today, which is April 21st, and it is 8:39 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to bring you up to the very latest Q post today. Got some really good information, and I was trying my darndest to bring this to you earlier because I do want to get on a schedule where I'm doing these earlier, especially now that I don't have school. So I want to do that, but I just kept finding more and more information, and you know how it is. It's like a never-ending rabbit hole. Once you go down, you're just finding more and more stuff. So I thought I better stop and bring you what I have, and because really this stuff is endless, because one thing leads to another, and there's so much of this that it can be really overwhelming. Okay, so this is the first one, picking up from where we left off from the last video. And Q gives us a link, and he says, good article. Don't forget about Huma. And I just stuck this in here. Sorry. It should be read. I don't want you to confuse my words with Q's. Not that that would be even possible, but anyway, and we know that he's talking about Huma, the person here, because usually when he's talking about the Harvard University Muslim Association, he uses all capitals. So here he's talking about Huma Abedin, and he says A1. Shahid Imran Awan is a Pakistani-American information technology worker. He worked as a shared employee for Democrats in the U.S. House of Representatives. And you know, when we're visiting a name that we haven't visited for a while, sometimes I throw that in there because there are so many names and so many people involved in this that it's absolutely extremely difficult to keep it all straight. So now VJ is Valerie Jarrett. She's an American attorney, businesswoman, and civic leader. She served as a senior advisor to the President of the United States and assistant to the President for public engagement and intergovernmental affairs in the Obama administration. So we're gonna go out, and now this is all connected. Okay, Valerie Jarrett, A1, Huma Abedin, all connected, and all connected through the Muslim Brotherhood, but through some other things as well. Now, I don't know if I grabbed the president's tweet or not. Hang on. Yes, so we'll visit that in a minute. All right, so let's go out to this article that he wants us to take a look at, and it's about Huma Abedin's ties to the Muslim Brotherhood. And of course we know that she is. Oh good, I hate it when they just start playing. The Clinton campaign is attempting once again to sweep important questions under the rug about top aide Huma Abedin and her family ties to the Brotherhood. And to Saudi Arabia, and her role in the ballooning Clinton email scandal. Let's see when this was written. 8/23/16, so it's been a while ago. The New York Post ran a detailed investigative piece over the weekend about Ms. Abedin's work at the Journal of Muslim Minority Affairs from 1995 through 2008, a Sharia law journal whose editor-in-chief was Abedin's own mother. This is not some accidental association. Ms. Abedin was, for many years, listed as an associate editor of the London-based publication and wrote for the journal while working as an intern in the Clinton White House in the mid-1990s. Her mother, Salia Abedin, sits on the Presidency Staff Council of the International Islamic Council for the Dawah and Relief, a group that is chaired by the leader of the Muslim Brotherhood, Sheikh Yusuf al-Qaradawi. Forgive my butchering of names. Perhaps recognizing how offensive such ties will be to voters concerned over future terrorist attacks on the country by radical Muslims professing allegiance to Sharia law, the Clinton campaign on Monday tries to downplay Ms. Abedin's involvement in the journal and the Muslim Brotherhood. The Clinton surrogate group Media Matters claims predictably that there is no evidence that Ms. Abedin or her family has ties to the Muslim Brotherhood, and that Trump campaign staffers who spoke of these ties were conspiracy theorists. How typical is that? Pretty typical. To debunk the evidence, I'm sorry if you hear something, my cats, for some reason, they're very old, they're 20 years old, but they're both in this frisky mood tonight, and they're running up and down the halls and chasing each other and jumping on one another, so you may hear that in the background, I don't know. If you do, that's what you're hearing. Senator McCain, to debunk the evidence, Media Matter pointed to a Snopes.com fact-check piece that cited as its sole source Senator John McCain. This is the same John McCain who met Libyan military leaders, or militia leaders, I'm not even going to attempt that name, a known al-Qaeda associate, and saluted him as my hero during a 2011 visit to Benghazi. So this just goes on. We know that she has these ties, and they're well documented, so I don't think that it's necessary that I read all of this. So, yeah, she definitely has ties. It has been documented in the media in some places, but of course it's always been downplayed as Trump conspiracy theory, or that Trump is trying to cast dispersion at that time on Hillary because of her run for the presidency. So anyway, that's something that we're well aware of already. So I'm going to go back. And he goes on. He says, FBI, America for sale, betrayal, treason, no name. And that's, of course, McCain the Stain. And inside out destruction. Yeah, it was planned to destroy America from the inside out. And he says Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabia, Huma, and Hussein. Now here he's capitalizing it, and he's referring to the Harvard University Muslim Association. And of course he gives us a link there so that nobody will confuse Huma and Huma. Hang on here. What's going on here? Don't know, but it won't let me go out there. So, but we know about that anyway, what it is. It's Harvard University Muslim Association. And it's interesting because through them, Obama was paid through Prince Al-Walid bin Talal. And of course, he was the guy that was arrested in Saudi Arabia when all that was happening. That was near the beginning when Q was starting to post. That was all going down in Saudi Arabia. And so he, through the Muslim, Harvard University Muslim Association, paid for Obama's university. So these people, and I have an aunt that absolutely swears uphill and down, no, he's not. He's not Muslim. He's not. And it doesn't matter how much evidence you show her, she still doesn't believe that he's Muslim. Well, why would a Muslim prince from Saudi Arabia pay for his education if he was a Christian? That would not make any sense, would it? But there are still people that insist that he is Christian. Right. So then Q says, Saudi Arabia, vital. Q. And yes, it is. It's vital to all this. This is not he's not bringing up anything new here that we don't know already. This is stuff that's been, in the drops before. But let's go down here. Oh, my stomach's making weird noises. And I don't know why, because I'm not hungry. Okay. Okay, this is blurry, granted, I know, but it contains some interesting things here, if I can get it to a place where we can all read it. Now, the Wall Street Journal, Democrats sue Trump campaign, Russia, WikiLeaks over 2016 election. DNC not hacked, leaked. And I can't even read all this to see the dates and stuff, but it says Discovery Court legally provide evidence and by SR Seth Rich to Julian Assange of WikiLeaks. And of course, that's where it was not hacked. The DNC was not hacked. It was leaked by Seth Rich, and delivery was by Seth to Julian Assange, and legally provide evidence of WikiLeaks. So this was, I don't necessarily think that's all connected to being able to legally provide evidence. I think now that they're in the being taken to court, they can use all that evidence, definitely. And maybe that's what they're saying. I'm not sure here. I grabbed this from somebody, if you don't know already. And then House report concludes Pakistanis made unauthorized access to congressional servers. Well, the exploding DNC IT scandal is as crazy as fiction. Well, who do you think is involved in that? Well, it's Imran Awan, a Democratic staffer arrested on bank fraud charge. And he's connected to Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And Imran Awan, who has worked for several House Democrats, including Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz, was arrested Monday and charged with bank fraud as he tried to leave the country, legal documents show. That's very hard to read it because this is blurry. So let me see. FBI was not given access to DNC servers for hacking investigation. The FBI relied on a private firm's investigation of the DNC hack, which made the agency harder to trust. So I just thought somebody has taken the time to lay all this out and thought it was fairly well done. But let's go down because I've got some other little juicy tidbits here. Okay. So I grabbed this from someone's Twitter as well. I hardly ever use Facebook anymore. Pakistani mystery man, Awan, hired by Schultz to infiltrate government computers with full access and no vetting, embezzlement, and espionage. Yeah, he was hired by Schultz, and he infiltrated the government computers, and there was no vetting. Like, how did he get security clearance? Please tell me how he got security clearance. Or did he? Probably not. Now this right here is very interesting. Now if you go to Snopes, of course, they're going to tell you that it's not real. But if anyone, please do not put in the comments, as others have in the past, well, Snopes discounted this. Snopes is not, please do some research on Snopes. Do not believe anything that Snopes says, really, seriously, especially when it comes to any of this stuff, because they're going to just discount it all. Look at who is behind Snopes and who's in charge of it. Yeah, please don't say, oh, Snopes has discounted that, so it can't be true. Investigate Snopes first. So I'm telling you right off, Snopes discounts this, but not trustworthy. That makes me think that it's real all the more. Okay. On September 3rd, 2016, at 8:57 p.m., Huma Abedin at yahoo.com wrote, sorry, and this is, she's writing this to her brother, her blood brother, and what is his name again? Hassan. So, sorry for my late reply, Hassan. Yes, let me tell you about her. The woman is so odd, so starved for validation, so tormented and vain. It is a constant surprise to me anyone takes her seriously. Everyone on the team knows how unwell she is, but they're more determined than ever to see her win. This woman who has a dozen seizures a day, this godless, shrieking malcontent, that's so funny because I used to call people WSM all the time, which meant whining, sniveling malcontent. This godless, shrieking malcontent passed out in her medical van. This walking cadaver. She's non-functional. Hassan, nobody cares. We sober her up for speeches and indulge the press corps with cheap sentiment, the first female president, the last glass ceiling, etc. They trip over themselves, lining up behind her. Surely they know it's not her they're getting. It's the one in the corner, the quiet helper, your sister Huma. You asked me once how I did it. How did I take the castle? Hassan, I didn't take it. They gave it to me. Yes, there was a cost, I will admit, subjecting myself to men like, and I would assume that's Anthony Weiner, and WJC. I should have looked that up because I'm not sure who that is. WJC. I'm not sure. It's probably really, really evident, and like 1,000 people will respond and tell me, and I'll go, oh, man. But I don't know. Is mortal torture. But I do it gladly, brother. Everything they ask of me, however sick and depraved, I do it and I smile, rejoicing at the thought of whose glory I serve. I don't know. I don't know if it's real or not, but it's being passed around as real. And I do know that there were a bunch of her emails leaked. So it's possible. It's possible. So I thought I'd read it to you guys. I'm not saying that 100% it's true. It could be. It sounds a little over the top. But I don't know. Because it sounds to me that she's just doing whatever she has to do because she's a mole, really, there, and I don't know what to think of it. So let me see if there's anything below that, make sure that I haven't missed anything. This is just stuff I stuck in there from my travels around the net. No, we've looked at that already, so let's go back up to where we left off and see what other juicy things we can find. So there's that. Then I'm gonna have to make this smaller again. This drives me crazy. All right. Let me see where this next one starts. That's the one we just did, and this one starts way up here. And this Anon posted an article from Salon magazine, and it shows a picture of Mishel Bachmann, and underneath it says, Bachmann defends her witch hunt. The Minnesota representative offers evidence of an Islamic infiltration of the U.S. government in a 16-page letter. So, and says, oh, this is one of the reasons why POTUS keeps bringing up witch hunt. Linked to 16-page letter by Bachmann regarding the infiltration of Muslim Brotherhood in U.S. government. And she includes a letter that Bachmann responded to, I think, the author of this. And we'll go out and look at this. Let's go look at her letter because it probably... And then Q here has responded to this. He hasn't denied it, hasn't said, he just has responded. And usually that's an affirmation that, yeah, that's right. So let's go see what Mishel Bachmann has to say. Okay, no, this is to, her letter is to the Honorable Keith Ellison, United States House of Representatives, Washington, D.C. So I was incorrect in that, but let's see if she has some point form things here. Yeah. 1. Brotherhood operatives within the U.S. government may have directly influenced the U.S. intelligence community's assessment of the Muslim Brotherhood as presented by the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, in testimony before the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence on February 10th, 2011. Now, I'll leave links to this instead of going through and reading it all because there's some interesting information here, no doubt. And then it goes into the explanation. Number 2, the mother, brother, and deceased father of Huma Abedin, Deputy Chief of Staff to Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, are connected to the Muslim Brotherhood, and that she, too, by extension, may be working on the organization's behalf. And it goes through that explanation. And then 3, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, an international organization of 57 countries to which President George W. Bush created a special envoy position, is determined to impose Sharia worldwide and undermine the U.S. Constitution. Interesting. I didn't know that. That's new. 4, the Islamic Society of North America, an umbrella organization of American Muslim groups, is the largest Muslim Brotherhood front in the United States. There's some really good information in here. 5, the Muslim Public Affairs Council and Muslim Advocates, 2 civil rights organizations, exercise influence in ways that align with Muslim Brotherhood agendas. I think that this is one that I will be reading, not to you guys, but certainly to myself. Read it all because it looks like there's some really interesting information here. So that's by Mishel Bachman. I like her signature. Not that that matters. All right. So, and, and here, this article is obviously about her defending what they're calling a witch hunt. Of course, they're calling it a witch hunt, that there's no evidence of this infiltration when there's plenty of evidence. So I will put these 2 links in the description. And sometimes I forget. So if I forget, could somebody yell at me in the comments and I'll stick it in there. But hopefully I won't forget. And here is, this Anon was saying, oh, is that what Donald Trump is referring to when he says a complete witch hunt, because he keeps making reference to a witch hunt. I don't think it necessarily is. I think he's talking about the fact that they keep pushing this whole collusion, and now that the collusion is dropped, they're saying, oh, but it's obstruction of justice. Now they're trying to charge him with obstruction of justice. I mean, just absolutely ludicrous. So it is a witch hunt as far as Donald Trump is concerned. And of course, the left called what Mishel Bachman was doing by bringing out the fact that the Muslim Brotherhood had infiltrated in our government in some pretty high positions. They were saying that she was on a witch hunt. So anyway, but I do think that this is funny. I found this and I just had to include it because it's just too good to ignore. Here. Make it a little bit bigger. Okay. And it has a picture of a witch, and it says, despite his repeated assertions that he's the victim of a witch hunt, we witches want to formally state that we do not recognize him as an accredited witch and are in no way affiliated with nor in support of the Trump administration. So I think it was just cute. I love the sarcasm and somebody's idea of a joke, and they did well, whoever made that. Now, here's and it's going to become pertinent in the next one that we're going to look at. James Comey illegally leaked classified documents to the press in order to generate a special counsel. Therefore, the special counsel was established based on an illegal act. Really? Does everybody know what that means? Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out if we don't know already. Okay, it doesn't belong to this one. It belongs to the next one up, I think. Okay, and this is posted by Q as well, and he said, the process of settlement in a civilized jihadist process is a civilization jihadist process with all the word means. it's he's quoting something, but it's not very well written. The Muslim Brotherhood must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers. And the believers, of course, in this case, are the Muslims. And he is quoting from here. And it's the Clarion Project, challenging radical Islam, promoting human rights. And this is the Muslim Brotherhood Strategic Plan for America court document. And the following is the official document from a 1991 meeting, which outlines the Muslim Brotherhood's strategic goals for North America. The document was entered as evidence in the 2008 Holy Land Terror funding trial. Federal investigators found the document in the home of Ismail El Barase, a founder of the Dar al-Hijra Mosque in Falls Church, Virginia, during a 2004 search. Al Barase was a member of the Palestine Committee, which the Muslim Brotherhood had created to support Hamas in the United States. So this was taken from, court documents, and that's where and that's where he is quoting from. Enablement of Islam in North America, meaning establishing an effective and stable Islamic movement led by the Muslim Brotherhood, which adopts Muslim causes domestically and globally, and which works to expand the observant Muslim base, aims at unifying and directing Muslim efforts, presents Islam as a civilization alternative, and supports the global Islamic State wherever it is. The movement must plan and struggle to obtain the keys and the tools of this process carry out, this grand mission as a civilization, jihadist responsibility. Anyway, that's what he's quoting from, and I think that Q's just letting us know what their aims are and what, their presence in the government is not a good thing. They have designs on taking over, sabotaging. So, and we know that. Okay, now we're getting to the next one, which is very interesting, but I did grab this tweet by President Trump. He said, Kim Stossel of the Wall Street Journal just said, after reviewing the dumb Comey memos, you got to ask what the purpose of the special counsel. What was the purpose of the special counsel? There's no there. Dan Henninger of the Wall Street Journal said memos would show that this would be one of the weakest obstruction cases ever brought. You can say that again. So here we've got the Wall Street Journal saying, after reading these memos, you got to ask, what was the purpose of the special counsel? There's no there. Meaning, there's... Well, we're going to see. It's all going to be spelled out. Okay. Now, the next thing that Q posts is this, and this is going to take us a little bit because there's a lot here, okay? Not official product, 5 eyes. Listen carefully. No evidence to support POTUS targeting. None. Do you understand the gravity of what's unfolding? Evil and corruption. She had to win at all costs. You know why, to cover her tracks. How do people vote for these people? Now, he gives us a Fox News clip, and I'm not going to play the whole clip because it's long. But what I've done is I've taken all the pertinent points out of it and done it in a point form manner. But I will show you it's with Devin Nunes, and I'm not sure of this lady's name, the reporter. You'll probably notice here. I'll just show.
President Trump taking Jim Comey to task over newly released.
Okay, Maria Bartiromo, and forgive me, I don't watch TV, so I do get news and stuff on the computer, but I'm just not a TV person, so I didn't know her name. Anyway, let's go take a look at what this is about and what Q wants us to know, all right? Now, Devin Nunes, head of the House Intel Committee, is being interviewed here. And he starts off by saying that he wanted the electronic communication from the Department of Justice and the FBI to understand how the Trump investigation into collusion even began, right? So he needed that. He needed the original communication. Like, what was this based on? Where did it come from? Where did this information or intel even come from? He wanted the actual source of that communication. He has since received those communications, so he's been in possession of them. It took Nunes a long time to get that access. He was looking for the original intelligence that became the basis for the counterintelligence investigation that was started. It's important because a counterintelligence investigation uses the tools of our intelligence services that are not supposed to be used on American citizens. So they have long wanted to know exactly what intelligence they had that led to this investigation. Now, what they have found now that they are in possession of that and have reviewed it is that, in fact, there was no intelligence. None. There was no formal intelligence on that formed the basis into this investigation into Russian collusion. None. Oops, sorry, hit that. None. So now we're going to have the explanation. The U.S. has a traditional partnership called the Five Eyes Agreement. Now, we've been over this before. There's 5 countries involved, and they all share intelligence, and they pass it back and forth. And because the U.S. is not supposed to spy on its citizens, if Canada picks up something in their, intel that, somebody, it's of grave importance to the U.S., well, then Canada will pass that intel to the U.S. and say, okay, there's so-and-so in such and such a position, and they've been communicating with so-and-so who is a known terrorist, okay? That's how that works. And the same thing with if we pick up something, if the U.S. picks up something on, say, somebody in England, and they know that something's going to happen in England, well, because England's not supposed to spy on its own citizens, the U.S. passes that information, that intel to them, so that they'll be sure to have it. And that's how we all, all these countries cooperate, by passing intel back and forth. And, the other countries all look out, the U.S. looks out for all the countries that are in that agreement, and Canada looks out for all the countries in that agreement, and, Britain and so forth, Australia and New Zealand, I believe. So they're all looking out for one another, so that if there is something that's alarming going on in the States, then one of those countries would pick that up, or maybe all of them, if it's, maybe all of them, and they'd pass that information to the intelligence community in the States. Well, that never happened. And if there was evidence that supported collusion, Five Eyes should have picked that up. One of the countries should have picked that up and passed it to the U.S. So that's what's in place for the intelligence community, and that's what Trump was referring to as a package. And here, let me go on here. So there are long-time processes and procedures in place where we move intelligence across. We are not supposed to spy on each other's citizens. It works well. It continues to work well. We know that because there was no intelligence that passed from Five Eyes, and meaning from the Five Eyes channel, to our government, and that is why we had to see that original communication. Because if there was enough evidence to support a collusion, then somebody in Five Eyes should have picked that up and passed it to the intelligence community. But that didn't happen. So they wanted to see that original intelligence because, you know what? Maybe Five Eyes wasn't doing such a good job. But he's saying here, it works well. It continues to work well. We know that because there was no intelligence that passed from Five Eyes to the U.S. government. And that's because there was nothing to pass. There was no information to pass. Why would they need to pass it? There was no evidence there of collusion. So, what are the consequences of finding this out? Well, now we're trying to find out, according to Nunes, this is what Nunes says, we're trying to find out, we are investigating the State Department. We think there are some major irregularities at the State Department in how they handled this. And that's, of course, not talking about the State Department as it is today. It's talking about the State Department under Hillary Clinton. There was some major irregularities in the way all that was handled. Yeah, he's being very diplomatic there. We are trying to figure out how this meeting with Papadopoulos made it over into the hands of the FBI. As we peel this back, it leaves more unanswered questions that we're trying to get to the bottom of. So, really, if this had been a deal, like if this had been something to worry about, somebody in Five Eyes would have passed this to the intelligence community, but they didn't. So, how did the FBI get hold of it? Because we're not supposed to spy on our own citizens, right? So, how did the FBI get it? So, the State Department is being investigated under Clinton. Was she pulling the strings? Well, what we do know, and this is what the reporter asked, was she pulling the strings? Well, yeah, we know that. But Nunes says, well, what we do know is that he comes short of saying, yes, she's pulling the strings. But really, that's what he is saying, because he says, well, what we do know is that longtime associates, including Sidney Blumenthal and Corey Scheer, who I don't know who that is, Corey Scheer, were actively giving information to the State Department that was somehow making its way to the FBI. This is from two people within the State Department who have publicly come out and said so. So there's two people within the State Department that have testified that they were aware that this was happening. And this, so Clinton, these associates were giving information to the State Department, and the State Department was passing it to the FBI. Now, let's recap. What have we said here? In order for the FBI Department of Justice to launch an investigation into Trump's collusion with Russians, they used no official intelligence. None. Now, this reporter at this point says, then how did the investigation start? That's a good question. And Nunes says, that's the point. We don't understand. We've never understood, because we have access to these finished intelligence products. And what he's talking about is the Five Eyes, what they pass through, the intelligence that they pass through. And that's what he's talking about. And that's what Q makes reference to in his post on 8chan, to the finished intelligence products. So that is the point. We don't understand. We've never understood, because we have access to these finished intelligence products. So we thought maybe there was one that went through a secret channel that was kept from the Congress, but that was not the case. There was no intelligence. At the highest level, what is this about? And this is about a counterintelligence investigation at the height of a political campaign, where an investigation was opened up using these intelligence services to spy on the other campaign. And we know that, but sometimes in all this back and forth between the Democrats and the Republicans, and all this muddying of the waters in the press, we lose sight of what it is in a nutshell. And this is what it is in a nutshell. It's boiling it right down to the simplest of making it as simple as we can, that a child probably could understand. At the highest level, it's about a counterintelligence investigation that was opened up at the height of a political campaign, where an investigation was opened up using these intelligence services to spy on the other campaign by, the State Department under Hillary Clinton, who was herself running for president. So, where does James Comey fit in? Well, Nunes says we're awaiting the IG, the Inspector General's report, as it relates to James Comey and the handling of the Clinton email investigation. And Nunes says, we got these Comey memos this week. We wanted them out because the Dems moved from collusion, and once they found out there was no collusion, they moved on to obstruction of justice. They're just not going to let this rest. They're not. Oh, okay, if it wasn't collusion, then it was obstruction of justice. That's it. That's what he did. Trump. Oh, he's a bad man. However, Trey Gowdy and Bob Goodlatte had read through these memos previously and stated that when you actually went through them, they were a defense against collusion and obstruction, not proof of it. So these memos actually, proved that there wasn't any construction or collusion. Not the other way around. Oh, sorry. Someone was, my phone was on vibrate and it was going off, so I just had to, check, make sure, someone's house isn't on fire or something. Yeah, I mean, poor Comey. No, I shouldn't say that. But poor little small hand Comey. We got these Comey memos this week. I just read that, sorry. Recap on Comey. Okay, there were 7 memos that he decided to write on President Trump. Okay, now, he never wrote memos on anyone else he had meetings with, just President Trump. Now, 4 of those 7 memos were classified. 4 of the 7 were classified. And he decided to launder them to a friend who then leaked them to the New York Times. Well, he had to give them to a friend to leak to the New York Times because he couldn't do it, right? So he gave them to a friend and had the friend leak them to the New York Times. Oh, he's just so clever, isn't he? Oh my gosh, this guy, seriously? Really? How did he even get into the position that he did have? I don't know. But so he decides to launder them to a friend who then leaks them to the New York Times. Now, if those memos contained classified, well, that should be classified information, not classified memos. If those memos contained classified info, and they do, he purposefully did that in order to get a special counsel started after he was fired. Yeah. So they contained classified info, and he did this in order to get a special counsel started after he was fired. Now, Nunes says, I believed he leaked them to several people. And then he adds, the irony here is that this is the very thing he cleared Mrs. Clinton of. So he clears Clinton, and he's going to be charged with the very same thing. Now that's irony. Yep, that's justice, actually. Unbelievable. Now, McCabe, Inspector General has recommended criminal charges against McCabe. McCabe is claiming through his lawyer that Comey is lying and that Comey did give him the right to talk to the press. So the question is, should the Mueller investigation be shut down? Devin Nunes originally supported it because he thought that Mueller would go on longtime FBI guy, and see that there was no collusion and go after the fact that Flynn's meeting was leaked. But that's not what's happened. So, all very interesting stuff. But we are moving forward. All these people that say, oh, Q's not real and none of this stuff is happening, and yeah, it is happening. And you can see it now. You can literally see it and witness it now. So let's go on. And this is just confirmation of what we just heard from Nunes. Kim Stossel of the Wall Street Journal said there's no there. And there isn't. There's no evidence of collusion. There never was. So let's go on. Oh, and this is where he says not official product. So the evidence, the so-called evidence that they used to open this investigation was not an official intelligence product. So that's what Q means there. And Nunes explains it. Okay. Now this is really interesting, okay? Q posted at Al Gore, today is Earth Day. Did you forget? Do you feel safe? Now, this is interesting because look at what time this was posted. It was posted at 15:47:12, which is 3:47 and 12 seconds Eastern Standard Time. And he's right. Al Gore hadn't posted anything on Earth Day, which is today. And actually, today is the 22nd. I think I said it was the 21st. I don't know what kind of drugs I was on, but it's the 22nd. I think I had some a couple posts left from late last night to go over. I think that's why I said it was the 21st. It's not. It's the 22nd. Surprise! Didn't that day go fast, man? Okay, so he tweets this to Al Gore, and then he says, at Al Gore, today's Earth Day. Did you forget? Hey, buddy, did you forget? Do you feel safe? I think he asked it just like that, too. Do you feel safe? And then here's Al, and when does he post this? Let's take a look. Oh, he posts this at 4:22 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Huh. So, well, thanks, Q. You reminded him and he posted. Shows that he's watching the Q post, doesn't it? Or somebody is. Somebody called him up. Hey, Al, get on your Twitter. You better write something. It's Earth Day. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So let's take a look at this. And somehow I get this feeling that more is going to come out about Al Gore. I think he's bringing this up not just to needle him about forgetting about Earth Day, but I think that he's needling him about a lot more. So let's go take a look at this. What on earth? Huh. I don't know what's happening here. Is my internet even working? Yep. I don't know. Maybe I can find it the old-fashioned way. Al Gore. It's talking about Al Gore thriving as a green tech investor. Okay, well, let me do it this way. Al Gore. Green. Well, darn it, somebody's trying to call me again. Oh, I see. This is my friend from Georgia. Okay, let me see here. Let's see if we can find it. Here we go. We took the long way round. We took the long way home. Okay. Al Gore has thrived as green tech investor. Well, isn't that special? First, he pushes the all the earth stuff and the, what do they call that? The whole green movement. There's a name. But first he pushes it, and then he invests in the technology. Yeah, that's smart. So he's investing in all this stuff, and I'm not going to go through all this. It's just basically showing that he's investing in all this technology for the green earth, but he's the one pushing it and pushing, global warming and all this stuff. So anyway, that's what that's about. So I would think that we're going to be hearing more about Al Gore. I have that feeling, because Q usually does a little bit of needling before he drops something later. So I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. But that's what I think. Now, that brings us up to the latest of the Q posts. Let me go out and take a quick boo to see if Q has posted any more. And nope, that brings us up to date. So we are up to date as of April 22nd, and wouldn't be surprised if he starts posting again later tonight, as sometimes is the case. But as of now, we are completely caught up, and I'm going to get this uploaded so that you'll have it a little bit earlier tonight, and hope that you guys are having a wonderful Sunday. I hope that you had a good day, a sunny day, a restful day, and stay safe.